a special guest in our studio, published author Mr. Craig Washington.
It's a pleasure to be here, ladies. Yes.
We've been kind of piddling around with Craig coming to visit and hang out with us for a while now. You know, we're talking about heroes a little bit earlier in the last segment, so check that out. We were talking about heroes, and so we're tying that in because Craig has written a book, a 454-page book, a lot of words, about what I guess I can say is superheroes, but I'm going to let him tell you exactly what it's about. The book was published back in 2013.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your profession?
Well, right now I'm a writer. When I started writing the book, I was working as a psychotherapist.
That might tell us something about what's going on in the book. Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay,
Possibly.
Well, go ahead. Tell us what the book is about, Craig.
And I wrote the book mainly because I wanted to do a simple story. And the story is actually about a man looking for his friend. I just included the other stuff more as an overlay, but I wanted something that I thought people could relate to, and that was this man searching for his friend who had disappeared. Now, it ended up what I now refer to as an historical fantasy adventure. Fantasy.
Like simple. Huh?
So I thought it would be. It just didn't turn out that way. Historical in that it has actual history in it.
Okay.
Fantasy in that I added elements of the fantastical because the main character himself is an alien.
What planet is he from?
Well, he's not actually he's actually maybe from a different dimension. And so one of the reasons,
like in a black hole, a wormhole.
well,
or something like that?
sort of. And so one of the things that everyone kind of toys with is how do we get from one place to another? And he got exiled here because, quite frankly, he wasn't the nicest of people on his home world. And
like Donald Trump.
Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. And he got exiled here. Unfortunately, we can't exile Trump. We tried, but
Right.
yeah,
It didn't work.
they didn't want him.
Too many other aliens down here with us who want to keep him. Yeah. Okay. No more. All right. Go ahead.
He's too easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this character gets exiled here, and he's been here for a while. I think roughly 3,500 years he's been around.
3,500 years this dude has been on Earth.
On Earth.
Around on Earth.
On Earth. Well,
He must have a couple baby mamas by now.
Well, actually, he really does. I had to, when I wrote it, without wanting to digress too much, when I first wrote it, some of my, people who read it were kind of concerned. Like, I said, no, he's an alien. So, having children, because he's literally a different species, wouldn't be that easy.
Otherwise, so he's an alien and he doesn't look like us.
He does look like us.
He have all the same parts.
Same parts, just different.
Genetics.
Just genetics are a little bit different. So he can't actually reproduce.
So he just has fun.
Exactly.
He got his own alien-like birth control.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't worry about that with me, baby.
So anyway, I did a story about
intergalactic stuff. Okay, go ahead.
So I did this story with him looking for his friend, and I overlaid a bunch of things. So it's got him, it's got monsters, it's got assassins in it.
So you got espionage.
Yeah, little intrigue. That kind of thing, and it's all tied up into history. And so I used it's got sections where he was one of the people on the ships where the Spanish went into the West Indies and slaughtered people, and so he was one of those people. There's another section where he is a member of the Knights Templar.
So what does he look like?
Black man.
Good-looking brother.
Yeah. So yeah, which is one of the things I wanted to actually do I wanted to actually make the lead character black. I really did.
Some things like those people that I meet on the date site that are whack. Maybe they're intergalactic.
There's a lot of aliens.
Most of the people at the post office, I suspect.
Hey,
but
I'm not gonna talk about post office people. I got too many friends who are post office people, but I
post office.
My brother's a post office person, but that don't mean that there's not some aliens floating around.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And so but I wanted to actually make the lead character black.
Okay. And was it because, like I said in the previous one, that we needed that. We needed some heroes. Was it because of that, or what was your reason?
Well, I think one of the reasons I did it was that I remember being a kid and looking around. I'm looking around at all these characters, all these heroes, and very, very few of them were people of color. And so, as I got older, and I still didn't see a whole lot, but when I wrote this, I wanted to. This started off as actually a short story from my nephew.
Okay.
Got longer. And I had wanted to write a story where the lead character was someone of color.
Right.
And I saw this was an opportunity to do that, and at the same time, sort of have my vision, and be able to sort of start with this character and hopefully expand it and create an entire universe around him.
Okay.
And
Sounds
so, yeah.
actually sounds pretty like it's very captivating. I can, I see everything like a movie. So is this something that would be turned into a movie?
That's what I'm hoping.
Hey, well, there you go.
That is the hope. Is that
It's got a good title.
I mean, it sounds like it even be like a series.
Yeah.
it actually when I wrote the first book, part of the problem, and I had thought that I was going to write sort of initially just write one, and part of the problem was I wrote the first book, and everyone who read the first book had asked,
Is there a sequel?
what's next, literally, and so at that point I realized I'd better get to work.
That's right. They always want to know what's
Well, everyone wants to know what's next, and so I had to start writing, sort of the next pieces. And as I wrote the next pieces, it was like, okay, this is gonna be a long time in coming, and so
That's cool.
So the next one is a continuation.
the next one is I've written.
So then he's not dead at the end.
No,
Okay.
he's not dead. He's most
Can't
certainly.
be if there's a continuation.
No, there may be a bunch. So he's not dead, and so I've got him in different places and different times. I've written, I've got pieces where not in this one, but because he's lived for so long, it gives me an opportunity to sort of tell his story in different places, and so.
So how does he deal with? Because there was a series on television one time before. I can't remember what the name of it was, but the guy had been living forever, right? And not that long though. But he had been living for a long time, and he had difficulty coping with the fact that he lost everybody, because everybody would outlive him. So he would develop these relationships. He had been married. A baby that he had taken in as an infant was now seemingly older than him. So he had a lot of emotional things that he really could have been dealing with as a result of the fact that he really couldn't get attached to anybody because they always left because they died because they were getting old.
I think one of the things that he doesn't seem to really get hooked into that as much.
So he's not an emotional alien.
He is. Actually
Are you an emotional
alien? No, he's emotional. I gave him enough flaws. So I mean, this is a guy, but I think that one of the things that he has is I had to sort of figure out how people live, how someone would live that long, and so he's got enough issues. He's probably got a little PTSD as well. He has nightmares.
And what age does he preserve at? So
He's probably about late 30s, somewhere in there.
okay.
Yeah. So he's not a kid. And like I said again, people do die. But I think he's sort of accepted that. And it's just sort of his main motivation is really sort of to get back to where he came from and kill the people who did this to, exactly. That's his motive. He's like, nah.
Well, so he's looking for his friend.
He's looking for in the book. He's looking for his friend. There's his friend. He's literally in the book. He's working as a professor, and his other friend is a professor, and his friend goes missing, and that sort of starts.
Okay. So in this particular lifetime of his,
yeah, he's a professor, and he's looking for his friend. And the book is about his search for this, for this man and what happened to him. And as he searches for him, he then finds, it then gets more and more tangled. There are pieces of his, because he's lived a long time, there are pieces of his life, specifically his life when he was in the Middle East. He spent a lot of time in sort of Northern Africa and the Middle East. And so as he did, he gets involved with the Knights Templar.
Okay.
and so I wove in some of their mythology and their legends, as well as I wove in, as I said before, the Arawak Indians with Columbus, and this is sort of this is a very sort of famous thing.
You
where-
had to do a lot of research to have this stuff be
Yeah.
accurate. I mean, a lot of research.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually, strangely enough, sort of the fun part, because in a lot of ways, history is a lot stranger than actual fiction.
But I tell you what, when we come back, we're going to talk about what kind of research he did and what you just said, you know, that it's the real life is stranger
Just
than fiction. We're going to
stranger,
talk about that again. Remember, go down to the bottom right or middle right-hand side and subscribe. Click the red button, subscribe, so that you so share with your friends, comment on what you've already heard, and we'll be right back with the next segment with more Fashion